Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ray Dolan coming to you live, yes, from a very interesting place and house, because we're with a beautiful couple here who are married 60 years today. And you know what? I've been chatting to this man. He's a neighbour of mine, and I've had loads of chats with him. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have him on the bus? And better still, it's his anniversary to his beautiful wife, Agnes. And she is with us as well. The two of them are actually holding hands for the last 60 years. So
I'm trying to let go.
So I'm here with Michael. Michael, it's a pleasure and it's great to see you looking so well.
Thank you.
On your 60th wedding anniversary to this magnificent superstar of a lady.
Too much.
As you see, there's a bit of a gap there, so there's a chair open, but not to worry. Michael, it's a great pleasure, and just so everyone can see the wedding photograph here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the beautiful couple that got married in 1960, is that right?
61.
61, and there is them. Look, just Mike, you're very handsome. Agnes, very handsome.
So I couldn't get away.
Wasn't she? And a bit of rock and roll going on there as well. 1960, and everyone probably wore suits in Manchester at that time.
Manchester, it was Birmingham.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Don't get mixed up.
Okay, sorry.
Photograph of that one.
Oh, yes, absolutely magnificent. Is your father and mother there? And
No.
No, is
Uncle
your
Mike.
Uncle Mike?
And my mother's brother.
Right.
And that's his son.
Right.
And both of them are passed away. They're gone.
God bless them.
He
God bless
died
them.
playing bowls. They were lived in Oxford. That's where I went to first.
You went to your Uncle Michael then, or is it?
My Uncle Michael in Oxford.
And tell me, where are you from originally?
Well, I better say Castlegathery, Balnacarrigy.
Oh, the townland of Castle.
Townland of Castlegathery.
Wow, so you're a local man?
Yes, I went to school in Emperor.
And went to school in Emperor. And how many was in the class? There must have been, what, 10?
Wow. There was 60 in Emperor School.
Wow.
Yep.
And so did you come to Mullingar? It was an event to go to Mullingar then, was it?
Very much. We cycled. I cycled into Mullingar. I brought butter and eggs and I sold them outside Paddy Wallace's shop. Cycled up to Rochford's.
Right.
Where they had a little restaurant in at the back. Not a big change from now. And tablecloths and everything. And I got tea and a sandwich and cycled all the way back to Castlegathery.
That was that an event? Was it a long way to go? That was every week?
Yep.
So what'd you sell again?
I used to take eggs and butter in for them, and the same people used to wait for me on a Thursday and buy them, the whole lot.
You were an entrepreneur from a very early age.
Well, you had to be.
Right.
I remember the thrasher coming to our house, and my mother was in Dublin having one of my brother or sisters, and the thrasher arrived. 14 men that the thrasher them days, and I had to cook. Them days you had to cook. If they were there for dinner time, you give them their dinner.
Right.
And I done bacon and cabbage for 14 men that day. I was about 12 years of age.
I'll tell you, you're something else. Now, your sister, you says, was having a baby in Dublin.
No, my mother.
Your mother was having a baby in Dublin.
Yes.
So you had to go to Dublin to have the baby.
Oh yeah, I was born on Hollis Street.
Wow, very posh.
My brother, Brent TJ, Lord be good to him. He died with 1968. He was only 27.
Oh,
died
sorry.
of cancer. But he was born in Dublin. Brendan was born in Dublin. I think the two girls. I think we're all. Most of them were all born in Dublin them days.
Amazing. And tell me, Mullingar, what sort of town was Mullingar at that time? Was it a thriving town?
Well, it had the fair.
Right.
In
the middle of the town?
In the middle of the town, and down by the market square there, and the cattle and things used to be in there on the market day.
On the day that you came in to sell?
Yeah.
And and as well as that, the station was very, very important as well, the train station.
The train station was important, and then the bus service from Ballyman to Mullingar was Hanley's, Kieran Nally used to drive it with a trilby hat
Go
on the back
on.
of his head.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it used to come up past Emperor. Where you pick it up. It used to catch the train to Dublin in Mullingar Station and drove straight to the station.
Wow.
And then it would go back midday to Ballymahon,
Right.
be the same route, and then come back again in the evening. And as you pick up, it'd be there to pick up anybody off the train coming back from Dublin. And then by Galler's pub there,
Yeah.
it used to park up there by where the Bank of Ireland is now.
Yeah.
Park up there and anybody with a bike, there was room on the roof of the bus for the bikes.
And the bus must be, when you think about it, must have been a very interesting looking bus.
It was one of the old buses,
Yeah.
one of the old buses, yeah. Crashed gearbox.
Crash.
Yeah, crash gear, no touch. You had to do it by the sound of the engine.
This was physical and manual driving.
Everything was physical.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything was physical.
Oh yeah, everything
yeah.
was physical. I remember the time that we were talking about the Thrasher, and I could not remember. It annoyed me so much. Only a week ago now,
Right.
about the name of the man that used to come and do the Thrasher. And his sister, and she used to, the elegant lady used to cycle past our house. And wasn't it John Ledwith? John Ledwith. Now I'm going back, I was only about 12 years of age at that time. And it was the same that used to do the thrashing.
Right.
But he was 6'4", a huge, big, tall man. And he had really thick glasses. And he came into the lock one Saturday night, and I was in there, and there was a whole heap of I used to do hair cutting.
Good man.
That's where I had done the hair cutting. My father used to do it, so I used to watch him.
Right.
So I cut hairs down there, half a crown skull,
Whereabouts now is
down
this?
in the lock on the canal.
On the canal,
Yeah.
near the lock.
Yeah.
Down by the harbour, like.
The next stop is Abershrew.
Oh, right, yeah. So
the-
at the
the
lock,
lock,
so it would have been.
the lock,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where all the boats came in.
Where the boats come in. Well, them days used to fill the chamber up to let a boat through and then let it out.
Right.
And the boat would go down and then they off they go.
And this is on the main canal, as
On
I
the
say,
main hill, this one here.
at the harbour bridge around there.
Yes.
And was that where the lock was, underneath that bridge?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Down beside,
And,
beside us at home.
Who was your customers then?
Customers.
Yeah,
There
for
was
cutting
plenty of
hair.
Customers.
But
When
you
they came in from Ballincarrick, they were half jarred. You know.
were they walking home in the canal to
Oh, no, some of
Ballycarrigy?
them had big bikes.
Right.
I'm talking about John Ledwith. One night we were in there and a smart fella reached, as John sat down, 6 foot son, pulled his stool from underneath him and he goes flying on the floor.
Yeah.
His glasses flew off and he said nothing. He asked me, he could get his found his glasses. Are they broken? I said no. So he put them in his nose, gave them a jink, and he reached for your man and he got a hold of him one hand by the throat, out the floor and over, and he held him and your man was roaring at him. And we'll never do it again.
for oxygen.
You won't let him straight into the chamber, into the canal.
In the canal?
Yeah, and your man roared and he couldn't swim. And he said nothing to anybody. And Pat Byrne, who was the man that lived there, that got paid by the CIE to look after the boats and chamber,
Yeah.
he got it, they all dragged, they used to pull out the weeds.
Yeah.
And he got down to him and he got a hold of him and he saved his life. And John Ledwith just got on his bike and off.
My God.
Tell you something, them days, people, they had their own way of dealing with things that went wrong. Anthem went wrong. You didn't bother looking at the guards.
It was dealt with straight
It
away.
was dealt with. Yeah. We got pulled once coming from the town. We used to go up to buy ice cream in Ballycarrigy.
Right.
And we'd buy rounds of ice cream and this crack, you see. So we were coming home and were we pulled by a smart fella
Right.
for no lights on our bike. Right? But we knew who he was.
Okay.
So the next time we went, we decided that we brought a rope with us.
Okay.
And we decided that nobody would speak. But we knew who he was. So he came out with a big flashlight, shined it into our faces. And I'm guard someone, so I'm going to find you for no lights on your bike. Nobody said a word. We put a gag on him, tied him up, brought him to a lone bush opposite Fox's shop in Churchtown,
Right.
and tied him to it.
Okay.
And he couldn't roar. Nobody could hear it because we gagged him, right? So but somebody went back and let him loose at 5 in the morning. I think it was Tom Maxwell. And let him loose and told him never to appear. He never appeared again with a flashlight. You know?
But that was, as I said, that was straight away. It was dealt with, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, we were really.
But everyone knew everyone. You see,
everybody
as well.
knew everybody.
And that was the thing.
See, you know,
and the word went around very quick.
The
there was
word went around, yes.
And it was more of a word of mouth than anything else. So the boys done that, and well, they're not to be dealt with. You know, leave them now because they could be.
Fox's shop is a real gathering place for all of Emperor, Churchtown playing cards.
Right.
And they had a shop there, and you could go in and get ice cream or whatever you wanted. And there was a whole heap of them playing cards one night, and we got banned out.
Right.
Because one of the boys had a Trilby hat. So they kept rolling bits of paper and putting it around the edge. And then somebody lit it. Right? So he was playing cards, and somebody said, Jesus, you have a fire in your head. And he went, because we got barred. Out. Weren't allowed in anymore. Right? So we got thick.
Okay.
And we lasted about a week, and we said, never forget, we'll try it again. No, they wouldn't let us in. So one of us was dispatched home for a spanner.
Right.
And them days there was no lights.
Okay.
Only flashlights. And there was about 5 or 6 men or 7 men inside playing cards. And they all had bikes.
Right.
Right? So when we got a spanner.
Right.
And we turned the saddles backwards and sewed them home. And the boys came up and jumped up on the bike in the dark and she nearly fucking ruined themselves. So we got more barred now.
They were definitely.
Well, I'll tell you, if the cars we were killed.
Now tell us, that was bringing. Now, first thing for everyone watching in is, what age are you at the moment? Do you mind telling us?
82. I was born in 1939.
82. My God. Well, I tell you, you're looking absolutely fantastic, and you're shining here with us today. And we're going back that far in your life that you have a fantastic memory as well. What age were you at that time?
I left school at 12, so I would have been, and I left home at 18, so...
12, 13, 14, 15.
5 years there acting Egypt.
Acting the Egypt. And tell us, when did you head for England then, or how was the calling? Were you encouraged?
I was encouraged by that man there.
Right, your uncle.
He used to come home to us.
Right.
That man there.
Excellent.
He used to come home. That's my mother's brother.
Ah, right. Your mother's brother.
Yeah.
And was your mother from Mullingar as well?
She was a Leonard.
Leonard. Oh, yeah.
The Leonards are quite... All of them were really into the education side of it. Big family of them in it. My mother's father and mother, or my mother's father, there's a photograph of him somewhere in a horse and trap and a bowler hat and a beard. And he used to come into Mullingar and he used to write letters for those people that weren't able to write letters to the county councils and
right
at the time.
Yeah.
So he used to do it. Because I don't know where, but they were all brainy. All of them.
All your mother's side, and
Yeah.
were they from Emperor, or were they from?
Maybe from where I was born.
Where you were born and reared.
Yeah.
Now, to me, you said you left school at 12, but I mean, you must have been able to count and write by that time. To become an entrepreneur.
I'm not quite bloody sure. I probably was.
And your mother probably as well helped you in a big way to educate yourselves.
Yeah, we lived on our wits. Mm-hmm. Really, we lived on our wits. And we always got work. There was always work going around, and the farm kept us going as well. And
that was back to being physical again.
Back to be physical again. And then fishing and shooting during the winter months. And anything we caught, whether with a dog or a hare, or everything was brought back, and everything was it.
All right, dogs and hares.
No hares, nowhere. Absolutely. The best soup ever you could get was hare soup. Hare soup was the soup to be got.
That was a soup of choice,
a soup
yeah.
of choice. It was a hare soup. I ate hare soup and the taste of it. But then again, there were cooks. They all had to be cooks. Every woman in Ireland was a cook.
Exactly.
They're in their own right.
Getting back to the women then, where did you meet the love of your life then?
Well, you see...
Is she local, is she?
No, Galway City.
Oh, right, at Galway City. So you went to England anyway at 17 or 18 on the boat, which was probably an amazing experience to get to Dublin and hit the water.
Well, if you can just imagine something like that happening now. Your eldest son taken out of a place like Catterick, brought into Mullingar on the bus, taken to Dublin. You never seen Dublin before in your life. You were 18 years of age. And there was friends of my mother's, Renells, that were from Ballynacarrick. They had a house in Rathmines. And that's where we stopped the day. Then we were taken out to the North Wall and we caught the bus. I can't remember actually saying goodbye to my mother.
Right.
Can't remember.
And so your mother came up and she went the whole journey with you and she went home?
Didn't. She came to Dublin.
Right.
And I went off then on my own to Liverpool.
And tell us, the feeling of that, did you feel excited? Did you feel afraid? Did you feel this is a whole new world coming that I'm heading for? England, wow.
I really didn't. The only thing that stuck in my mind was, number one, it's a long crossing.
Yeah.
And you had to get off and then another boat across the Mersey. They used to call it. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, and it could have been 24 hours.
Yeah, and then I missed the train to Oxford. And
Disaster.
And then my mother said, Banbridge. Banbridge is in County Down, but there's a Banbridge in Oxford, and the next stop is Oxford. So once it stopped in Banbridge, your next stop is Oxford.
Right.
So Oxford is there, and your man was there waiting for me.
Oh my God.
And I was with them for a while, got a job on a huge big farm in Oxford. I had a great time actually. The farm was big, myself and the son, I was married and I used to babysit for him.
Yeah.
And he used to give me the gun to go out shooting in the big estates, and sure, I had a ball.
You landed on your feet like?
I landed on my feet, and then by accident in the digs, this guy arrived in, he was there, and he was a foreman of a big building company in Acorns Green in Birmingham. And he asked me, would I come to Birmingham with him? It was a big job coming off, and money was good on the buildings compared with what I was at.
Yeah.
So I decided, so off we went, told Uncle Mike where I was going.
What did Michael say? Uncle
He
Mike?
didn't say, keep going.
Really?
Oh yeah.
He didn't get the hump?
Not at all.
And so you spent how long with him?
In Uncle Mike?
Yeah.
I was there for about, I went 57, 50, I was there for about 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell us, the Irish in England at that time, how were we accepted?
Well, you were in the majority for starters. I mean, Small Heath was a big Irish community.
Yeah.
Huge.
So,
I mean, and the buses were full of Irish. Mm-hmm. I worked in a big bakery called Wimbledon's. And that was, the head baker was from Tullamore.
right.
Yep.
So you it's like a glove in a way when you
Yes,
came.
once you got in.
Yeah. And you met
got in.
everyone.
Yes. Yeah, and you got jobs by word of mouth.
Yeah.
And and then I met Agnes I was sitting in the canteen. I was sitting in the canteen in the carriage.
Right.
And we were only after training. And then the next thing I know is this, and I said to my mate, I think he was, I don't know whether he was where he was from, Mayo he was. Mm-hmm. I said to him, Jesus, look at this, that's a gorgeous bit of stuff, right? So he said, you forget about her. He says, that one won't go with anybody on the buses.
Uh-huh.
So he says, I tried her, and he says, she told me to pick off. Right?
You didn't use bad language.
So anyway, well, he did. That's what he told me to do. So anyway, we met. We started going out together, and the next thing we were engaged. And we used to come home here, down to Galway, back down to Castle Gallery, and introduced them all.
And Agnes, what did you think of him? How did the story move on from that few minutes then, from him saying, you know, she's not a bad looking bit of stuff? How did he get in contact with you? How did he start the chat? She's not giving anything away.
No way. He's doing all the talking now.
No. What did you do?
No, I mean, you must have your part of the story, and I mean, it's important. I mean, you're very much in love still after 60 years, and a whole raft of grandchildren, and six children you had yourself.
Yeah.
And one of them definitely guaranteed was one of your own. That was Eamon. He confirmed.
That's true.
But as I say, you're very lucky, because I see the flowers will arrive in here all day. Hold on, we better get a look at this picture here. Is this yourself?
That's Agnes' brother.
That's Agnes' brother. And yourself?
Yeah.
My God, Agnes, he is a handsome man, huh?
Damn,
Absolutely. And look at the rock and roll head in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the hair all gel back. You can nearly smell the Brill cream from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you, lads, it's a great story, and we're wishing you the best for the next 100 years, as I say. You were out yesterday for a spin. As I said, they were canoodling. I think they went to the lake yesterday for a bit of a 5 minutes or 10 minutes. They stopped out there.
That's her brother.
And that's her brother. Oh, there's herself as well.
It's a great one of herself. Yeah.
That's a magnificent one of herself. Just Agnes, you're some beauty, huh?
He played off a 3-handicap golfer.
Really, yeah?
Great golfer.
Did you play the golf yourself?
Oh, he did, yeah.
Now tell us, we'll try and keep the story going, right? We got to England and you ended up, you were farming, then you moved from farming to building, then you moved from building to, you were working in the bakery, yeah?
Worked in the bakery for a couple of years.
And tell me what you do in the bakery.
I became assistant dough maker.
Assistant dough maker.
Because your man was from Tullamore and he trained me.
Right.
Right?
Got
He was
chatting.
the head book.
Yeah.
And he trained me, and the order would go in, it was all nights,
Okay.
and the order would go in, and it was all on gallons. He'd have made up how much dough, and he'd tell me, you need a 10-gallon, and there was big, huge things on that. And we weighed it all off, and made the dough, and covered it over, and then the fellas come and cut it into and throw it into the ovens and making all sorts of yolk.
And this was probably for a few years in there, and that was all night work. I mean, you had no problem doing night work.
Not really.
No.
No, I didn't like the day work at all.
Really?
Yeah.
And tell us, you got involved in the pub as well.
I was involved in going to the pub scene. Was a kind of like everything else that happened in my life, it was a kind of accident.
By chance, yeah.
Well, we got out of Small Heath. There was two very important men in my life, and both of them were Cork men.
Wow.
And one of them was Father O'Mahony, who is PP of Our Lady of the Wayside in Solihull, who I got to know very well. We were great friends. And he came to, the first Father O'Mahony ever said, he came across an ambulance.
Right.
And he was big into, he was great friends of the famous Mother Teresa.
Go on.
Yep. He was great friends, and they used to go on the phone,
Right.
talk to them.
Yeah.
And she asked, would there be any chance of finding an ambulance? And the next thing, the phone went in my house, and it was Father O'Mahony. Michael, I have an ambulance. Would you go and have a look at it? I said, where is it? Somewhere in Warwickshire. So I went and had a look at this ambulance. It was like a tank. But it was going away for nothing. It was being given for nothing.
Okay.
Right? So he said, so I phoned him back and I said, yeah. He says, is it drivable? I said, I think so. So your man said, yeah. You can come out and get it. So I took back, and Father Manny picked me up the next day, and out we went, and we got the ambulance, and I drove it back. Again, a crashed gearbox. Well, and it was like a tank. And he knew somebody in the garage business.
Right.
He had it resprayed, and I knew somebody in the garage business as well, and we had it serviced for free. right?
Right.
Everything was for free.
God.
And Our Lady of the Wayside was painted on the ambulance in Solihull. And it went into service. I drove it personally from Birmingham, from Solihull to Hull,
Wow.
to be transported all the way to, and it went into service as an ambulance in Ethiopia
Amazing.
with the help of Mother Teresa.
Amazing story.
And the other famous man we met he was a manager of the first Irish bank that came into Spark Hill. And we all, of course, people Irish, we get out the hell with the English banks.
Yeah.
Went down, you get nothing out of them anyway.
Yeah.
But it went down, and then we were on, it wasn't massive money, and we started banking in and Sean O'Mahony, again, Father O'Mahony, but they weren't related,
Right.
both from Cork.
Yeah.
So Sean O'Mahony called me in one day, and I thought, oh my God. So he said, I was looking at your accounts, and he says, what you're earning? He said, will you bring me in a list of all of the things that you have to pay? I
Right.
said, okay. And do a sort of an estimate of what the kids would be, you know.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Done that, brought it down and handed it in to him. And he says, come in to see me next week. I said, okay. So I went in to see him. It was the first time ever I heard anybody telling me about a budget plan. Because I didn't know what a budget plan was like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, you're going to have 2 checkbooks.
Right.
One of them, he says, all the checks are going to have budget plan account.
Right.
And he says, anything that you have on that list, you paid with that check.
Right.
And he says, after the end of 12 months, you're either in a minus or a plus.
Right.
Because we've got, gosh, I didn't have to come up with cash for shoes for the kids, shops,
Yeah.
anything. I paid for big. And when one Egypt, she says, I can't accept that check.
Yeah.
I said, why can't you accept it? It's budget plan account. I said, and you're trying to sell? I said, that's guaranteed by Allied Irish. Because she didn't like it because it was Allied Irish. That's what it was about.
Right.
And I soon copped on to her.
Yeah.
And I called over the manager.
Yeah.
And I knew him.
Yeah.
I said, you tell this. I said, if
Lady.
she worked for me, she'd be gone.
Okay.
I said, tell her this check is guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And he pulled her aside and he had to show her.
Oh, right.
And the checks is written.
So
and I
budget
know
plan, and this was, geez, there was a great bit of thinking behind that. And I
was-
mean, to be
yeah.
educated as well by
Yeah, but-
your bank manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again from Cork,
Wow, another Irishman.
another Irishman.
So you're in England now, and you've gone through the pub, and you've gone. Where'd you go after the pub, or did you head home yet?
Well, the pub business came into by accident again. We were in a huge big school. Mm-hmm. I was the caretaker there. I had a run of the whole place.
Yeah.
And they used to run dances. And I got to know this guy called John Ford. Mm-hmm. And he was high up in M&B breweries in Birmingham.
Right.
And there was a dinner dance or something going on. And the M&B breweries came in and done the bar.
Right.
So I said to John, I said, you were in M&B, aren't you? And he says, yes. I said, why can't we do this? He says, you need a license.
Right.
I said, surely to God, I said, you know somebody that knows license, we can get a license. Mm-hmm. How much are they? He said, they're not expensive. He said, an off license. Mm. I said, okay. And he says, I can't get involved in this. I said, okay. And he says, we could do it, but you're going to have to appear in court to get a license. Mm-hmm. So he said, I'll come back to you on that.
Right.
He came back with a guy called Seamus Bracken.
Whose birthday is today, and he's down. It's not the same one. Seamus Bracken, the butcher.
I'd say they're related.
Why? Were they from Kinnegad, no?
He was.
Go on.
Yep. And he owned out road a big pub in Solihull.
Right.
The Seamus Bracken.
Wow.
Right? And it was him that John Ford, you see, he had a hold on him over because
Yeah.
he used to go around visiting the pubs and he could either do you a favour or not, right? And then there's anybody done the food to their business. The beer was only chicken. So I often appeared in Birmingham Court, and all I had to listen to for very intently was the name, Mr. Seamus Bracken. And I'd get up and I'd bow to the judge. Right?
Yeah.
And big straight face.
Yeah.
And he'd ask me a few questions. Any children going to be at this? No, Your Honour. And no, Your Honour. Okay. And I often walked out with 5 or 6 off licences for £2 each out of the Birmingham State Court.
Interesting.
And it'd be for weddings. We've done a couple of weddings.
Yeah.
We've done birthday parties. We've done dinner dances for school, raising money for this, that, and the other. And we named ourselves Solihull Bar Services.
Go on.
And we never had to advertise only once. We got word of mouth. Every bar we done, somebody there would be attending. Said, "Come here. Would you be able to do a bar for us?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, well," and we'd write it down, and then that would be another license I'd have to go up to the judge and go again for £2.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
And that led us on to 1979,
Right.
when we left Solihull. In 1978, my mum and dad left the 16 acres of land in Paddenstown, which was no good to me.
How many was in your family then, your sisters and brothers? Of your...
There was Brendan and my 2 sisters and myself.
Now, as well as that, now we forgot to think, did you ring your mother all the time when over all these years they were in England?
No, there was no phones.
There were no phones?
No phones.
So you had to write to her?
Right, she wrote to me and I wrote to her.
Wow.
There was no phone.
And did she write to you regularly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nearly every week you got a letter. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So then you headed home and the land has been sold and...
I sold the land. Jimmy McDonald sold it for us.
Go on, Joey.
1979, the year we came back, I think. No, the 78 was sold. Mm-hmm. And we got a good... And a lad I went to school with bought it.
Wow. And that brought you straight into Tesco's. You started into business
I
again.
was looking at... Went up shopping in Tesco's one day and there was a paint shop there and they were cleaning it out and stopped trading or something. And I said, "Geez, that would make a nice coffee shop." So he opened Hogan's coffee shop in there.
Chances.
Then I ended up in court in Tullamore because there was a bloody strike in Tesco's
Right.
and they blocked the whole entrance.
Oh,
So I took them to court and I won it.
very good.
I won it, the case in court in Tullamore. So they were barred from stopping people coming in.
Well, what I'd say is that there was no fear in you.
No, and to this day, I'm a kind of the same. If I find an injustice, I pick it up and I go.
I know.
You know, yeah, I run. But then again, you see, we were fierce lucky. Mm-hmm. I was very lucky. Both of us were very lucky. Mm-hmm. We're very fierce. Everything that we done, even over the 60 years, even going back to, was there anything that we sort of could say there was a real sort of thing that we shouldn't have done, or were we in a tight squeeze? I don't think we were.
I know, but I mean, you're up front as well, you see, and you explain where you... So when you're dealing with someone, you're very upfront with them. So, I mean, they can make a decision on you and you can make a decision on them, and it's all happening in front of you. It's dealt with straight away, I'd say, is the word.
Well, that came back to your man dropping your man in the chamber.
Yeah, exactly.
I was reared down there, and you see, Agnes was reared in the city of Galway, right opposite the regional hospital in Galway, right?
Right.
And Galway's, anybody reared in a city, they sort of try to mind their own business.
Yeah,
They keep themselves to themselves.
yeah.
Out there, you knew everybody. You knew everybody's bloody business.
That's right.
And you make sure, and that if you didn't, you're an idiot.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that came back down to making decisions. On what. So that came from from where I was born.
Exactly, and growing up on the land.
Growing up in the land, growing up in the country.
The most important things then were making sure that the jobs were done, and there was a routine, and there was blah 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 blah.
Routine.
And it had, and in a way, it's like the bank manager saying to you, "We have to build you up a plan,
Yes.
a budget plan or whatever." But I mean, when you think about it, naturally enough, in your own farm, the budget plan was working non-stop.
Yeah.
You know, someone's after coming in there. Anyway, it must be the cat. So look, once again,
It's a beard that way.
all I can say is congratulations to both of you on your wedding anniversary. And are you going to dance? Last word, I'm going to give it to you, Agnes. Tell me, what's the story? Has everyone called up today, and are you looking forward to the big party?
Oh, a big party now.
Yeah? Not yet.
I don't.
There's
I
something
don't,
happening
I
tonight.
don't. Well, it's probably happening, and I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to know.
Okay, so you're saying nothing, as I say. Well, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely amazing people. Delighted they have invited me. Well, they didn't invite me, I invited myself. They were in the house, and once again, congratulations to both these fantastic people. 60 years. Michael Hogan's, great name, Hogan's, and Agnes Hogan, originally from Galway, now living in Mullingar. Lived in Birmingham for many years as well. So to you all, I'm just going to give you the last word once again, Agnes. Have you any words to say to anyone? Because the whole world is looking at you here. There's even people from America, London, Birmingham, Mullingar, and all over. So let me see, have a look at it, see who was in here. Will they come into me now?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't find. They won't come in. Oh, they are. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Jenny says congratulations. Eva Keegan says happy anniversary to you both. Is she a local? Philip Hogan. Who's he?
My son.
Put him on the Late Late Show.
Oh, that will be him, all right.
And who else is here? Charlotte's looking in from Florida, and she says, amazing. And what a wonderful life and family. Absolute legends. So, look, I'm going to hit the road, lads. Thanks a million, Michael. Happy anniversary. Thanks a million, Agnes. Happy anniversary. And we are going to knock off the cameras now. Bye for now, folks. Thanks for looking in.